Hey, you play safety? You're going to need this one thing over everything else while you're patrolling the back half of that defense. We'll talk about it today on DB Tip Clips. Welcome to another series where I take my blog articles and turn them into nice YouTube videos for you. Why? Because you guys don't want to read. Some of you guys just will not read. It's fine. I'll bring the information to you in your form that you want to learn. And today that's going to be YouTube. And I'm talking to my safeties out there. I know you guys, you want to be ball hawks, you want to be headhunters, you want to be those things because it's sexy and it looks good back there and you can get a lot of notoriety for it. But before you're all those things, you need to be this one thing if you're going to be an elite safety. Can you guys figure out what that might be? Can you figure out what that one thing is? If you've hung around me, if you've watched my YouTube videos, if I've coached you, if you've read my blog, and I hope you have, you know what I'm already going to say, right? Safety is the last line of defense. After you guys, once that ball carrier passes you, there's no one else back there. So above all things, what I need a safety to be, what your coach needs you to be, what the fans need you to be at safety is intelligent. You got to have a high football IQ when you're back there at safety. And I value that. Coaches value that. Everyone values that more than anything else. Now, some people value it and don't realize it. That would be the fans. They do like the ball hawks and they do like the hard hits. But the whole reason that you're able to get into the position to make those hard hits or to even get in a position to intercept all those footballs starts first with this intelligence. So you got to have that. There is simply nothing worse than having a guy back there that just doesn't have any smarts. Okay, first of all, it's difficult for you to get into a position to even get those hard hits or get those interceptions if you don't have the football IQ. And so knowing the game, understanding the game is going to help you tremendously and put you in a position to use those God-given gifts, whether it's knocking guys out, which you really can't do too much in this game anymore, or get into the position to snag those balls out of the air and pile up the interceptions. If you think about all of the top safeties that have played the game or that are playing now, I can guarantee you that what they have over everything else is a really high football IQ, right? So you got to have those smarts. Now that we've established that part of it, let's talk about how you go about getting those smarts. Well, first, before we even get into that, and I do need to say this, if you guys are enjoying this video and you've enjoyed all of the other videos that you may have watched on this channel, whether it's about defensive back play or it's about getting recruited or getting offers or getting a highlight video, I'm going to tell you right now, subscribe to my channel, hit that button, hit the bell so that you can be notified. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about why that intelligence is important. When you're lined up in the secondary, you've got your corners and your nickel backs, and those guys tend not to be as cerebral, and I'll tell you the reason why. They have something going on right there in front of them, especially if you play a lot of man defense. They have a wide receiver that's right in front of them, and it's hard for them not to have their focus on that. Okay, there's a lot of things going through your head when you're lining up as a corner or a nickel with a guy directly in front of you. And that's even in a zone. You're closer as a corner or nickel back to that guy. So sometimes a corner will get locked in, a nickel will get locked in, whether it's zone or it's man, and they tend not to be able to see the entire picture, at least not until they've gained a certain amount of experience playing the game. Now, you as a safety sitting back more, you're at a vantage point where you can see the entire situation that's going on back there. So the smarter that you are, the more that you can recognize what it is exactly that the offense is doing, that is about to do, you can relay things to corners and to nickelbacks as they line up. And I'm here to tell you, nothing makes a corner feel better or more safe out there than to have a safety to his side of the field that knows what's going on, that has high intelligence, and someone that will communicate to him. And the communication really comes from having the football IQ. If you don't have a football IQ, you tend to be quiet out there in the field because you're not really sure. You don't want to relay information that may not be correct. And if you've played safety and you're new to it, you know what I'm talking about. You don't want to say too much because you may be wrong. All right, so you're going to need to fix that, because when you are smart as a safety, it makes everyone else on the defense a whole lot more at ease. And when the guys are at ease, they can move around faster, they can make more plays just off of you being intelligent. So that's the major reason why you want to have that intelligence, because if you are that guy with the big football IQ, you can get almost everyone lined up on the defense. And that would include linebackers. Now, when I've coached, I've usually run the game through my middle linebacker. That guy had to be smart. But also, the second guy in charge is that safety back there, the free safety, who's standing back there seeing the entire field. It's like you're playing Madden. You have that Madden vantage point when you're back there 15 to 20 yards, and you can see the entire offense. You see how they lined up. You can see an unbalanced line. You can see motion. You can see a certain player that has come onto the field, maybe a guy that you guys were keying on during the week, and you see him lined up at a certain position that your coach or a coach may have alerted you to during the week when number 25 is lined up in this particular position. These plays are coming. We need to watch out for it. When you're standing back there on a hash or in the middle of the field, you're the guy with the vantage point to see those things happening. So if you've got a high football IQ, you can get the alert out to the rest of the guys, and now the whole defense can flow and move to the positions where they need to, and do so with the full confidence of being able to know that everyone is where they need to be and they're getting ready to stop this play that they know is coming. So those are some of the reasons why it is super important for you as a safety to have that high football IQ. Very, very, very important. So how do we go about getting that high football IQ? A lot of the good safeties that you see playing now are guys who played offense before they migrated over to the dark side of the football. Some of them were quarterbacks. Oftentimes they were wide receivers. So they already have an understanding of how offenses work. And because of that, they just have a natural understanding of what's taking place in front of them, both pre-snap and post-snap. But if you haven't played on the offensive side of the ball, doesn't mean you can't have an elite football IQ. You know what it is going to take? It's going to be that dreaded S word, study, okay? You're going to have to study the game. You're going to have to, first of all, know your playbook inside and out for your team, okay? You have to know where you're supposed to be on every defense called, plus where everyone else is supposed to be. That's how you're going to have to know the playbook. An elite safety knows that. It's not just good enough for you to know your job and where you're supposed to be. You're kind of responsible for everyone else back there. Maybe you don't think you should be, but if you guys want to be great and if you want to be great yourself, man, you're responsible at least for the other three or four guys that are lined up in the secondary. That's the two corners, that's the other safety if you happen to be the free safety or the guy that makes the coverage calls, and the nickel back. So you got to at least know that. But if you really want to be elite, you got to know where everyone's lined up, even down to that nose tackle and that defensive end. So thing number one is know your playbook in its entirety. And you know what else that does when you know it like that? It really makes the coach feel at ease. Your coach has less stress when on game day he knows the last guy back there, the guy lined up at the deepest, knows everything, knows where everyone's supposed to be when he makes a call for a defense and sends it in. Okay, so that's number one. Know your defense inside and out, know where everyone is supposed to be. The next thing is you've got to watch a good amount of film, all right? You've got to be able to understand how the game of football works. I haven't even gotten to the point where you're studying your opponent. I mean, in the off season, just study offenses in general. And when you're watching football games, just don't sit there and watch it as a fan. Watch it as a coach would. Watch it as a player would. Try and understand what the offense is doing. Understand what different offenses are doing, because sooner or later, if you play this game long enough, you're going to face every type of offense. So as you're watching the game, try to understand why players are lined up in certain positions. Try to understand what offenses try to do when they're in certain formations, whether that's double tight end, whether it's I formation, whether it's spread or it's empty. Try to get an understanding of what they're trying to do and what has to happen. Football is a game of math. So once you've gotten down that idea, you can cerebrally understand what is happening no matter what an offense comes out and does. Now, when you do get into season, it's time for you to study your opponent. Every little team has their little nuances, their little plays, their little things that they do, whether it's where they line up certain players, certain formations that they get in, or certain things that they want to do on down and distance. And when you're the guy that's lined up deep on the hash or in the middle of the field, and again, you don't have the stress of lining up directly in front of a player the way the defensive linemen do, the way the corners do, or the way the linebackers do. They're so close to the action. You're standing back there. You're the one that needs to see what the down and distance is. You're the one that needs to see the type of personnel that's on the field. And you're the one that needs to just pick up on the little things. And if you study film long enough, you'll notice little things that an offense does that tells you what the play is. It could be very simple things that a quarterback may do, where he's looking, what he does, even a little signal, pulls the face mask, whatever those things may be. If you study the game to that point and you can pick up on those things, you're going to make everyone else around you better. And when everyone else around you is better, it allows you to look good. So you've got to study your opponent, know their formations, know their plays, know everything they're going to do before they do it. So know what that play caller on the other side of the field for that offense likes to do, what he doesn't like to do, and you are just going to be on your way to becoming that elite safety. So listen, it's great to be a guy that makes great tackles and the occasional big hit. It's great to be the guy that has great ball skills. But if you're going to fully get your use out of those things, it's above all important that you have a football IQ. So don't neglect to study the game. I know guys like to go to the park and work out and get the cones out and do all the drills, and you feel like you're getting better, and you are. But if you're going to reach your full potential, you have to study the game, know your opponent, know offenses, and know where to line all your guys up on defense, know where they're supposed to be, so that before that play jumps off by the offense, you've got everyone in a position and you know exactly what's going to happen. Once you've been able to do all those things, you're going to feel better lined up on the field. You're going to feel more at ease before the play. And the more you can relax while you're out there, the more plays you're going to make. You can trust me on that. Once again, guys, if you enjoyed this video, if it's helped you out, first of all, like the video, share the video, and subscribe. All right? Hit that bell so you know you're notified the next time I've got a good video like this coming out with all the DB tips that you need to become elite, right? You want to know that, right? Why not get notified when I put out another video like this? So hit the subscribe button, hit that bell so that you're notified. And when you have a chance, fellas, head on over to alleyesdbcamp.com for more tips on drills and things of that nature. Consider joining my members area. I will have a link to that down there on the bottom, where I go really into detail on how coverages work, different techniques that guys use, analyzing, breaking down things that are happening in the game, both at the college and at the professional level. I also have a bunch of drills in there. Over 100 videos in that members area. Guys are really taking their game to the next level, so consider doing that. I'll have links for that down there in the bottom. Okay, once again, thank you guys for watching this video. All Eyes DB Camp. Consistency breeds results.